That's right, guys. Time for that refresher course on how Wizards does things. The reserve list is being replaced. You just didn't know it, and it's coming up next. Hey guys, welcome back. MTG Moxman here. If you're new to my channel and you found me in the nacho cheese world that is YouTube, well, thanks a lot for deciding to check out my content today. Really hope you guys enjoy it. And of course, we are another day closer to having the cake party when we get to 5,000 subscribers. So if you're new to my channel, smash that subscribe button. It's the best thing you can do to help a small YouTube channel grow is just click and it's free to do. Looking forward to seeing you guys there when we get to 5,000 subscribers. It's going to be epic. All right, guys, a serious conversation today. A lot of people have really gotten upset over this, Gareth, whatever. One Eye. He makes a Black Lotus token. I know. We did a video the other day. It was kind of interesting. But did you know, and for those who've been on my channel for a while, you understand this, but for new people out there, and maybe the few who haven't caught those videos and didn't look back in my inventory, they've been replacing it for quite a while. Wizards is working hard to replace the reserve list and make sure it's gone. Okay? And I mean, never thought of again. Now, when I say that, I'm not saying they're actually replacing the cards. That is not what's happening. They are not abolishing the reserve list. They want to ignore it. They want to have it as a history, nostalgia moment. That's what they want. They want people to look back and say, do you remember how powerful the Black Lotus was? That card is awesome. Now, for the lifetime of Magic after Unlimited, they've been working hard to build cards without breaking the reserve list. They want to ignore it, remember. They want cards that are functional. They want cards that are better in some cases and fit better with what Wizards is trying to do at the time when they're creating cards. So when they go ahead and do this, they create a whole assortment. They probably get all kinds of ideas in paper. They write them all out. They play test stuff out in the R&D and they see which ones work, which ones don't. Now, they make mistakes sometimes and the cards are too powerful. And then they go ahead and rewrite that card 5-6 years later on a newer card. Okay? So let's go over some of these today so I can prove to you how exactly this looks. Now let's go ahead. There was a spoiler today. Today being May 27th or 26th last night, whatever. I missed this one on my thing. But here we have an awesome look at Yawgmoth's Will. Okay? Yawgmoth's Will is 1 black, 2 other. It's on the reserve list. Okay? It was a really cheap card for a long time. But it says, until end of turn, you may play cards in your graveyard as though they were in your hand. Cards that are put into your graveyard this turn are removed from the game instead. So that means Yawgmoth's Will disappears too. Okay? Very cool, right? It's a great card. This has been around in Magic since the Urza block. This is a great card. I never used it before. I've only had my copies for like 10, 12 years. But think about before all those years, I never had it. So, cool card. Awesome. And again, look at that art. It's Yawgmoth's Will, right? He's forcing his will and causing the dead to come back. It's great. Now let's take a look at a card that was just spoiled yesterday. Gaia's Will, not Yawgmoth, Gaia, who of course Gaia is going to be the kind of like the essence of energy on Dominaria. Okay, and you see, look at the image. Tree look at that image, look how it is, opening a portal, coming through. Very similar in some ways to Yawgmoth's Will. The appearance of the card close. It has suspend 4. 1 green, suspend 4. So you don't get to cast it right away. But it is just sitting there, and it can still be countered just like Yawgmoth's Will. Until end of turn, you may play land cards and cast spells from your graveyard. So I can put a land back into play, and I can cast any spells that are in there. Well, doesn't that seem pretty similar to Yawgmoth's Will? Almost identical? In some ways better, because you're going to have all your mana available? Okay. If a card would be put into your graveyard from anywhere this turn, exile that card instead. So it even ends like Yawgmoth's Will. So, in some ways, Gaia's Will is actually a better card. For those of you who didn't know, keep an eye on this card when it's coming out. Do not buy the pre-release prices, but keep an eye on that card. That's a replacement card for Yawgmoth's Will. That's what Wizards is trying to do. They want functional reprints that they can put back out to keep their money machine moving while ignoring, other than those few tight, old-school collectors who want the best of the best, the originals. Wizards wants to move the conveyor belt down the line. They want to replace the reserve list without actually replacing it. That's what they're doing. When you go ahead and you say, okay, we've got Moxes, yeah, it's a Mox Pearl, Mox Sapphire, Mox Jet, Boom! Look at the cards. Look at Moxman's got some in the background. You're right, I do. But guess what? When Stronghold came out, they gave us Mox Diamond. When Mox Diamond comes into play, choose and discard a land card or sacrifice Mox Diamond. But you notice Mox Diamond in some ways is superior because it replaces any color. It could be any color. But I understand this has a drawback, and I understand this also is in the reserve list. So they tried to fix it. They've given us cards like Mox Amber, Chrome Mox, Mox Tantalite. They've given us different versions of Moxes, trying to vamp it up to find that perfect synergy without having to ban it or put it on the reserve list. So whereas Mox Diamond isn't quite there, it's because they ended up having to put it on the reserve list. It's not quite there when it came out in Stronghold. They've done many other Moxes which have not been banned. Okay? Lots of them. And they're trying to find that perfect way. See, they want to move it along that list. They want cards similar to Mox Diamond, similar to Mox Pearl, but not quite there. They want to move it along the line because new players come along all the time. And they don't have tens of thousands of dollars. So they want to move it along, have you buy that $30, $40 pack of Magic, and get the card there, is what they're hoping you will do. Wizards is replacing the reserve list. Understand this. It is happening. Most of us don't care because our reserve list stuff is protected and it'll always have value. But Wizards does want to replace it. They want to have us set aside and move on to the new cards to keep that. Why I think they raised the power levels up so much, to get the older players to buy new cards to stay competitive when they're in their play groups. That's all. That's all we're talking about. Let me just move this bad boy up here. Okay, what did I do last? All right, Time Walk. Look at that amazing Time Walk. I have one of these myself. I have a couple of them, actually. One blue, one other. Take an extra turn after this one. Now, Time Walk itself is actually not the most powerful card. You have to have something to do on the next turn. So just taking extra turns is like drawing one card for two. It's not the game-ending ability. It's when you can set up your Time Walk to do multiple effects across the board that Time Walk can be devastating when it has a low mana cost like that. So Wizards said, okay, this is on the reserve list. We've got to improve this card. Let's move along. People like the name. They like that feel. We've got to find cards that are similar. Now, Wizards has done numerous cards in the Time Walk vein. I only chose one because it's a low casting cost one. Savor the Moment came out. Shadowmoor. Take an extra turn after this one, but skip your untap step. So, yeah, you get to draw the extra card, but you don't get to untap unless you have some other card that says untap. So you need combinations. Now, they've also done cards like Time Warp and other abilities, but they've been trying to perfect Time Walk forever. Okay? They want a card similar, but not quite as devastating as that card. And that's what players have to realize. That's what new players and old players have to realize. They do want to replace it. They want newer cards. They just don't want you to think that they're doing it. That's why they're not going to break the reserve list. They're not going to touch the original reserve list. They want to put it in a closet, which you can't see right here, but I have a closet there. And they want to shove it into that closet, close the door, and just keep bringing up the nostalgia factor. Keep bringing up all the cards similar, but not quite. They want to replace it. Now, when we look at the next card, Time Twister. Pardon me. Awesome card. Look at that card. Amazing. You get to take your graveyard, take your hand, both players, shuffle them together, draw 7 new cards. Card is game ending in the right combinations, and you can use it in Commander. Amazing. Amazing. Wizard said, oh my god, we got to get rid of this card. So it's on the reserve list. But they want cards that are similar. So they went ahead and they said, hey, how about Time Spiral? That costs 6. Remove Time Spiral from the game. Each player shuffles his or her graveyard and hand into his library and draws 7 new cards. And you, the caster of the spell, untap 6 lands. They tried this. Guess what? This card's on the reserve list too, because it was a little too powerful. Time Spiral was awesome. So they gave us other cards. Okay? They went ahead and gave us Echo of Aeons. 6 to cast. Each player shuffles his or her graveyard library and draws 7 cards. So you don't untap the lands. Okay? You don't untap this time. But you can also flashback it, which is kind of nice. They gave us cards similar, but not quite as powerful when they saw even Time Spiral could be broken in so many formats. It's not banned, but they just don't want to reprint it. So it's on the reserve list. I don't think people get that sometimes. This is where that argument just keeps coming back, and people who don't understand what Wizards wants. Wizards wants money. Do you understand? They want your money. They want you to keep buying, guys. And I have no problem with Wizards wanting me to keep buying because I get to enjoy the old cards, the new cards, and everything in between. I'm cool with that. But those who hope they're going to break the reserve list and reprint, they're not. It's not happening. So for those of us who like to buy reserve list cards, we're fine. Those cards aren't coming back. They'll reprint new functional reprints that make money, and they will replace the reserve list in time. That's all. They're going to replace it with the newer, the bigger, the badder cards, right? Now, let's go. Let's check out Ancestral Recall. One of my all-time, I used to live when it said force your opponent to draw 3 cards because nobody ever did that, really. So you have Ancestral Recall. Great card. Draw those 3. It's an instant. Cost 1. Well, of course that got banned. No cards even come close, right? But they wanted something similar. But just something you couldn't crack off on turn 1. So they said, hey, here's Ancestral Visions. Take this card. Run away with it. Just be happy, players. Because we've given you a card that's like $40, $30, $20, $10, $5. Because they keep reprinting it, right? And we keep buying it. So you have Ancestral Vision. It is a suspend 4 for a blue. Right? 4 turns later you get to have it, and they consider that acceptable because other players have drawn 4 cards and you've had 4 turns to get it out there. Perfectly legitimate card, great card, lots of fun, and you can see why they've done it this way. Because Ancestral is too awesome, but they know they need cards similar and they want to make money from the cards. Now don't forget, this card was up to like $40, $50 at one point, and then they reprinted it multiple times. They could just stop reprinting it for 5, 10 years and all those old cards shoot up. That's how they build equity in their game. That's how they build their reprint equity. Then they say, oh my God, we haven't reprinted in 10 years. This is perfect. Or we haven't reprinted it in 5 years. Now the price is going to go up. They know the secondary market, but they don't acknowledge it. But they know it's there. And they just watch the ticking up. Oh, it's like $5, $7, $10, $12. All those cards back up to $25. We can put it back into a special edition set, rotate it through again, make a lot of money, and charge a higher price on our boxes. Boom, baby. People forget this stuff. And of course, our last one today, the Black Lotus. The King of Kings, the champion of our Magic universe that makes the world go round. The card we all dreamed of having, even as kids, because it was hard to find, all the way up. I'm lucky enough. I do have a Black Lotus. I know most people don't. I got one. I got a collector edition one too, so I guess I technically have 2. They had to find a way to reprint this. They've done all those cards we talked about in the other day's video. Lotus blossoms, blooms, petals, you get it. They have choices out there, people. But guess what? They wanted something almost exactly the same. And that's why they printed Jeweled Lotus. And Wizards is intelligent. They kept that to a low production run. That extended full art is hard to get. It's not easy. It is the chase card. And they want that. They want the factor when you open it. They want you to have stories and nostalgic memories 10 years from now about when you cracked that Jeweled Lotus. Don't expect this card to come up all the time. They will reprint it, but they're going to be sparse about it. They're not going to do it each and every set because they want to have that thrill factor for players to open these. That's what I would do. You want to keep the money value high. You want to make it seem like it's a Black Lotus, even though it's not. That's exactly what Wizards does. This is how they're replacing the reserve list. They bring in new memories for new players. The old players can get into the new cards, which in some cases appear just as powerful or more powerful, depending on what deck you build around it. But you can still have that nostalgic factor of having some Moxes behind you on a wall, some cool cards in an old vintage legacy deck. So for those of you who think the reserve list is going to be reprinted, it's not being reprinted, it's being replaced with newer cards, newer text, newer abilities. The old reserve list is going nowhere, and that's why people collect it. And that's my intelligible conversation for the day. And I would love to know what people think about this. I hope you spread this one around, guys, because it took some time, but I thought it was an important topic to cover today. My name is MTG Moxman. I had a great time hanging with everyone here today, and I hope you smash that subscribe button and join in the fun, because we're going to do this all the time. Have a great day. I'll see you guys later. Maybe, right? Live stream Sunday at least, right? Exactly. And videos, time. Hey guys, patrons rock, and yes, that's right, you can support me on Patreon by just signing up with all my other awesome patrons. And no, for those who asked, I'm not expanding my Patreon. Once this is filled out and done, I'm probably just locking her down again. Are you ready for this? Are you still here at the end? You better picked up the popcorn off the floor. All right, we went from $6.90 to $6.70. And now, that's right. You ready for this? 650 till we get to cake. 650. Goes right here. And that means we're only 150 until I do the rules of this video for our 5,000 subscribers. We're that close. And if you're one of my patrons, you will get it ahead of everyone by a few days. Because, you know, patrons have a little extra oomph into what I'll be proposing to them. Okay? All right, guys. Thanks a lot for chilling with me, man. This is MTG Mox, man. Have a great one, guys. Because we rock, man. I really enjoyed the video today. I hope you guys liked it, too. Okay. This is like the secret outtake. Are you still here? Did you make it this far in the video? When we get to 5,000 subscribers, when we finally get there, we are going to